Hello, welcome to Mod Midwives, a Metro Midwifery podcast. I'm Gina Gerboth.
And I'm Nedra Hale, and we are home birth midwives serving the Denver metro area.
Welcome to the new week. It's been another crazy one around here. How are you doing?
I think we are having hair issues. So
Yes.
these are my list of maintenance problems. I need to figure out my waxing kit so I can do my eyebrows, and I hope you can't see my mustache right now.
I'm never aware of your mustache.
That's good.
It's never on my radar.
And my toes are, I've done my toes twice myself, but I am really bad at it. And I'm going to continue to do it so that, it doesn't seem like a necessity, right? Even when they open everything back up. But hair may become a necessity.
Hair is getting desperate around here. I actually ran into our hairdresser on a socially isolated, appropriate walk at Cherry Creek State Park, which is it's a state park, and I ran into her and she said we should probably get on the calendar. But now it looks like they've pushed back salon openings indefinitely. They're not opening this week.
I thought it was like the 4th or something.
Maybe it's the 4th.
Because there was like a staggered opening.
Yeah.
Which has been very confusing. My tattoo shop opened and closed and opened and closed.
Yeah. I think everybody's struggling with the opening and closing. So we're coming to you live from our, individual houses as our new routine is dictating.
Yes.
It's kind of nice because it's easier to just do a podcast instead of having to set up all the equipment. And
it is nice.
We might keep doing this sometimes. I mean, we're going to have to really minimize, even when the, strict lockdown restrictions are lifted. It's not like we're going to be out doing normal stuff, hanging out and breathing on each other.
No. And you just sent me that thing that said that Disney might be closed till like next year, and I'm so sad.
I mean, just think about it though. It's so impossible to maintain space at Disneyland.
I know. I don't actually know if I would be brave enough to go, but we're supposed to go in December, so I thought, it's so, it's so far away, it'll probably be fine, but I don't know if I would end up being
the general word on the street is that until there's a vaccination, it's probably, or a vaccine, it's probably not going to be back to normal until we have widespread immunity, because it is mutating. We don't really know if this is conferring lifelong immunity right now. There's more questions than answers right now.
Maybe a good compromise would be if we can get like the national parks open at some point when it's still warm enough to go, we could go do like little things like that. And because we wanted to go to Yellowstone this year too. So
I think that stuff makes sense. Disneyland seems like it's going to be late.
Standing in line. I think my anxiety might kill me.
Ironically, we were at Disney World in the first week of March, the last 2 days of February and the first week of March. And it was enough on our radar that we knew it was a thing. We didn't think it was in Florida at the time. It was. Apparently somebody died.
Because a lot of people got sick at Disney World at the same time.
When I was there.
Yes.
But there was just like this, I will never forget, it was one of those mornings that we went to get into one of the hotlines early, where it's not very shady. It was Big Thunder Mountain. And this kid was sniffling and snotty and obviously not COVID symptoms, but his little snotty hands were touching all the stuff, and we were standing there like this with our arms up against us and hand sanitizing ourselves, and it was like an hour-long line. And
oh no!
So it was enough on our radar that we were really squicked out.
I'm always like that at Disney. I am always like, we're bathing in hand sanitizer as soon as we get off the line. I'm like, don't touch anything, don't touch the rail. And so I can only imagine how much worse I would be.
We went through 3 bottles while we were there. We each had our own, and we each
I'm sure
it was terrible. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't think Disneyland's gonna open.
We're just gonna adopt an attitude of, we don't know what's gonna happen from one moment to the next, so we're just gonna have to be flexible
Yep.
And it's hard for everybody, but it's just what it is.
Yeah. We've asked our clients to do the same too. We
Hmm.
don't know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
We don't, we're doing the best we can. And we want to still
Yeah.
be able to protect or to, we need to be able to protect ourselves so that we can continue to attend your births and
Right.
provide your prenatal care and postpartum care. And it's just been a lot of adapting, and it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. We had to send out our please wear masks and
Yeah.
all that stuff, which, it's, we had been asking for that for a little bit, but now it's like it's a requirement to come into the
Mm-hmm.
visits, which is pretty standard. My dentist sent the same thing out. Um, I have to decide whether I'm going to send my 8-year-old to the dentist for a cleaning without me because they don't let other people in. And so I have to choose between him getting a cleaning or not based on whether I can go in. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but yeah, they won't let us in without masks, and it's I'm sure it's going to be that way when we do anything with any kind of personal care.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It's not,
yeah.
I think we're just learning every day. This is not going to change
Hmm.
immediately. This is
Yeah.
not going to end soon. So,
Yeah.
oh,
So
anyway,
what are
well,
we talking about today?
we're not talking about coronavirus today.
No, no.
I'm sure we will because it's, the
Just
topic
it's
du
the
jour.
topic of the world.
Yes. But we're going to do Ask the Midwives Part 3. So we've got more
Woo!
questions from
And I don't
listeners
know
to
what the
address.
questions
I
are,
know. I thought it'd
so
be fun to totally surprise you and not plan ahead. Okay. The first question is, if a pregnant person's menstrual cycle is typically longer than 28 days, do you take that into consideration when giving an estimated due date? If the birthing person is at 42 weeks, must they transfer from your care, or is transferring based on health? So that comes
Okay,
from
are
one of our,
these two, is this
it's
part of
the
the same
same
question?
person, two parts.
Okay.
Same question, two parts. So first part is 28-day cycles.
Okay, so at the beginning of care, we have to establish a due date.
Mm-hmm.
And that due date, unless there is like extraordinary evidence that we should change it, should stay the same through the rest of pregnancy. So it's really important to identify the accurate due date, which means we do need to take into account a long
Mm-hmm.
cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And we might employ, if there's some doubt about the date, we might want to do an early ultrasound because that becomes important when we get to the end of pregnancy and we're talking about early or late babies, because we
Right.
can't just change it at, willy-nilly at the end when we want to. We need to have a
Right.
date.
Right. Right. And that does answer the second part of the question, that we
Mm-hmm.
are limited. We
Yeah.
cannot continue care after 42 weeks. And therefore, having that really accurate date up front is so important.
Yes. Yes.
So it makes it
Definitely.
well worth the effort of getting that first trimester ultrasound.
Yes.
We actually have a repeat client coming into care, and sometimes when people have had a baby in the not too distant past, they're still breastfeeding, or their
Mm-hmm.
cycles have not had a chance to become regular again. It's much more likely that we're going to have uncertain dates when we've had a baby not too long ago. So yeah, so that was one of those times when I thought, maybe this is a good opportunity, or maybe this is a good idea to consider a first trimester ultrasound and get that really good date.
Definitely.
First trimester ultrasound is the most accurate dating method.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's really common to have a 20-week ultrasound be off by a week or more. And, so it's not reliable for that.
And a first trimester can still be off by 5 days in either direction, plus or minus 5 days, but that's much better than plus or minus a month.
Yes, that's true.
It narrows the window a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not 100% accurate, but also due dates aren't 100% accurate. So
yeah, I mean, there's a 5-day variation on when you can conceive, even based on your ovulation date. So it's just like really, it's all weird. It's all weird.
Yeah. So the answer to that question is yes, we take into account your cycle length.
Yeah.
If you're, oh, and let me say this too. If you track your cycles, if you know when you ovulated, if you know when you conceived, um, we're much more likely to be able to just go with that information
Mhm.
than
Yeah.
suggesting a first trimester ultrasound. It's when you're
Oh, for
sort of
sure.
not sure that
Oh,
we're
yeah. I
needing more
like I
information.
like good menstrual dating the best. That
Yeah,
is the most reliable for
it's
sure.
more, it's, yeah,
Hmm.
it's great.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any other thoughts on that topic?
Nope.
So yes and yes. Yes, we
Yes.
do take your cycle length into consideration, and yes, we do have to transfer care at 42 weeks.
Yes.
I guess let's morph that into our spiel on, but we don't just sit around until 42 weeks. We give you
Oh,
some
yeah.
options. If
Yes.
somebody was getting close to 42 weeks, what would we do?
Well, we do offer natural ways to get the labor going. And I say offer because some people don't want to do that. And so, it could be things like sweeping membranes, and then it could progress into just other natural labor induction techniques. We offer these because we don't want to have to transfer people out at 42 weeks. So if we're knocking on the door, we think it might be appropriate depending on what's going on with that particular person and their history and what their cervix is doing and all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But some people don't want to do it and they just want to wait and see, and that's fine too. We just all
Mm-hmm.
have to know what will happen at 42 weeks.
Right. And we
Yes.
often will actually have this conversation in an interview period, because sometimes
Yeah.
this is something people are asking really upfront,
Yeah.
especially if they went late with the previous
Oh, yeah.
baby.
Mhm. Yeah.
So hope we don't want this to be sprung on anybody. But if
No.
nobody's asked and it never came up organically through our conversations, then it
Yeah.
can be a surprise.
Yeah.
So sorry, I was thinking I was going to sneeze, but I made it go
Oh,
away.
no.
No sneezing is allowed anymore, ever.
Oh, no, I know. I'm so self-conscious everywhere I go, which isn't very many places. But when I do, I'm super careful about not being human at
I
all. Like,
know. I know. No more human functions.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to find the next question. What are some of the best labor and postpartum hacks that you've seen?
Oh, I'm gonna have to think about that one. So, do you have one off the
I
top of
have
your
one
brain?
off the top of my head. One is, and I think it's actually the person who sent that question in. You
Oh.
know who you are. One is to wear a bra in labor that has a front opening, like a zipper or a clip, because
Ah.
what usually happens is that, so maybe people are in and out of the tub and their bra gets really wet, and whether they deliver in the water or not, we have this wet bra on when the baby comes out, and we want the baby to have nice warm skin to skin contact with the birthing person. And so we're always trying to get that bra off. And more often than not, that bra is a sports bra, and it's an over the head type sports bra. And that is kind of hard when you just had a baby and there's a wet little baby on you to get that sports bra. So to
Yeah.
be able to unzip or unsnap from the front and have good direct skin to skin
Hmm.
contact, I thought that was an awesome hack. That was like life-changing hack right
That
there.
is really good.
Yeah.
Was labor included in the question, or was it just postpartum?
No, yeah, labor, birth. How was it phrased?
These are all
Yeah.
like really dumb, outdated things, but things over the years. Like, I really love the idea of a labor skirt. That
Yeah.
I don't remember who started doing that, but I used it with my last birth, and it's just so nice because you can still like not have your undies on, but you can still maintain modesty if you so desire.
Uh-huh.
We do not care about that, but but
I think that a skirt would have driven me batty.
I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
I think I'm a naked laborer. Well, I put on a robe. I'll put on a robe when I need a little warmth, and then the robe comes off, and then I put it on, and then I take it off, and then I put it on, and then I take it off.
Yeah.
So a robe is my labor thing.
I do like the sports bra, and then I think the first couple babies I did like a nightshirt or something, like, because I do like to be covered. So it's yeah, so that worked really well for me, so that my belly could be just like out, and that was nice.
I mean, I have been to a couple births where they've still been wearing pants and underwear, and
I
they're
know.
like making these grunty noises, and I'm like, so I think we're gonna have to take your pants off now.
That
Like,
has happened like many, 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 many times. So the skirt is a really nice thing for that,
yes, you don't have to try to be
because the baby
undressing.
can come out.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the pants.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, labor skirt. That's good. What else? What else?
I enjoy like all the innovations with like the first time somebody did like the ice pack and the diaper thing was pretty
Yeah.
cool. And
For people that
so
don't know, if so, we do have a couple of those medical ice
uh-huh,
perineum packs in our birth
uh-huh.
kit, but people sometimes like to have more ice on their bottom. You can take a baby diaper and slit it at the top and then put crushed ice in it as a ice pack.
Yeah,
So just
yeah.
to describe the ice pack in the diaper because it sounds weird.
It does
And
sound
it's
weird.
nice because it absorbs blood, which is, something that's
Yeah,
going
it's
to be
absorbent
happening.
too.
Hmm. It's great. Um, I like it when people have little snack baskets
Yes.
in labor, so they've got like a little array, and then we can grab a little snack, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and we used to never use Depends, somebody, I mean, I'm sure this happened to everybody, but some client a long time ago was, her water was broken and she was wearing Depends and it wasn't dripping all over the place, and I'm like, whoa, that's so great.
Yeah, because amniotic fluid continues to
Yes.
leak after your water breaks, and that's
Yes.
something that surprises a lot of people.
Yes.
It's never ending.
Yes, it just
It's a
keeps
fountain.
replenishing. Yes, and that's why the baby's
Yes.
still protected in there with some fluid, but it's yeah, it's
Yeah.
messy.
Maybe one of the hacks that I have stopped recommending this because I just feel like there's so much to go over at the home visit, but kind of the old school midwives will tell people to make soup ahead of time and freeze it.
Yeah.
And one of the midwives always says to freeze them in individual containers because actually it takes a long time to defrost a big, huge Tupperware thing of soup that's frozen.
Oh,
So I thought the individual containers of soup was a good hack.
that is good.
Yeah.
I've never done that. I've never asked anybody to make soup.
Yeah. I used
So
to. It used to be part
yeah,
of my spiel. That's just how I was
I
raised.
think it's a Colorado thing. Maybe it's
Mm.
not. Maybe they do it other places too. But there are so many things that when I got here, I was like,
And then you started realizing that everybody was saying the same thing because
yes.
it is such a pervasive
Yes.
recommendation around here.
Yes.
Yeah. The bottom basket is a nice hack where you have all of your
Yes.
sprays and creams and text pads and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
pads, and that's a nice
Yeah.
little, and having it by
Yes.
your toilet and ready to go.
Yes.
Um, what else? What other hacks?
Mm, I don't know. I'm struggling to think of things.
I think we covered
Yeah, I
a
think we
few.
got a few.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to know if other people have hacks that they want to share.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a
So
great
shoot us a message or
actually that
something.
would be a good Instagram campaign with a picture.
Yeah.
Shoot us a picture and a
Yeah,
hack.
let's do it. That's a good
That's a
idea.
great one. All right, here is another question. What is it like to be a brand new midwife? The struggles, getting clients when you're brand new, stress, etc. So we talk a lot about becoming a midwife,
Yeah.
and we talk a lot about the stress of being a midwife for a long time, but those are different stresses than being a new midwife. So, or
Yes.
challenges.
Hmm. Well, I mean, it's obviously very challenging to get clients when you're first starting out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I've moved and started a practice a couple of times, and so then you experience it again, except but not to the same degree because you
Because
have
now you have
experience.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, I've had to put a lot of money into advertising, which can be hard if you don't have money to put into advertising. Networking is super important. So I would say maybe the very first thing is to join all of your state organizations and go meet all the people, network with complementary healthcare providers, and then you're probably going to need to put a Google ad up if you want to get any kind of volume, because the word of mouth is kind of slow to trickle in. Then at some point you might be able to totally live off of word of mouth, but yeah.
Although we're not there, we still advertise. So
I mean, I've always had an ad, so it's, so that's just like a pipe dream to live off of word of mouth.
I mean, I think if you want a low volume practice, you can do it.
Yeah,
for sure. But if you want a, relatively busy practice, I think you need to keep new people coming in.
Yeah.
So I think one piece of advice I would offer, although,
I've got one. Let's see if you say it.
Okay. I was going to say two things. Number one, offer to assist as many midwives in town as you can. The more
I've got a tissue, sorry. I don't have coronavirus.
You can mute yourself just for future reference.
Oh yeah, you guys didn't need to hear me blow my nose. Sorry.
That's okay. Keeping it real. Hashtag Gina is too lazy to edit. So, anyway, so one, offer to assist as many midwives in town as you possibly can, maybe even at a discounted rate, because what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot more births under your belt, and you might also end up backing them up sometimes. So you could get some more experience that way. And then the other piece is absolutely have an experienced midwife assisting you, because that's going to be reassuring to the clients who are maybe on the fence, or maybe not on the fence, but have concerns about having a new midwife as their midwife. If you can reassure them that you have a midwife with 5 or 10 years experience assisting, that will provide a little credibility for you.
That's a really good one. Yes.
Yeah. If you're a brand new midwife and you've got a student assisting you, that's going to deter a lot of people, I think.
Yes, definitely.
All right, what was yours?
You didn't say it. I was going to say, it is not a very good way to make friends in the community to undercut everybody. So I would not offer steep discounts just because you are new, because it's just going to make everybody mad. Plus, you don't want to devalue your services. Yes. You've gone through midwifery school and you have skills, so charge what you're worth. And
the other problem with doing that is it devalues midwifery to everybody. I mean, definitely. For everybody. So agreed. Yeah. That's a really good. So getting clients is probably one of the bigger challenges of being a new midwife. Yes. Another one is finding your own feet. So I think that when you've recently been under a preceptor, it can be easy to fall into the routines that preceptor uses. And I think that a challenge is figuring out what works best for you. And I think that's really important to defining yourself as a midwife, to figuring out. Everything. And I was probably my pendulum swung a little far the other way. So, you're going to go back and forth and then find your center.
Yes. Yeah. And don't be cocky. You should know that there's a lot of stuff you don't know. And I think new midwives, I was like this too. You come out thinking you know everything about everything, and you really do not. Just be humble and know that there's still a lot to learn. It's like a lifelong process.
Right. We don't know everything about everything.
Yes.
And one thing about midwifery or any type of medical area is that it changes. And so we're never going to know everything.
True.
Because there's going to be new information all the time.
Yep,
that's a good one. I think we've talked a lot about life on call, like getting used to life on call. And I think by the time you're a new midwife, you figure that out.
Hopefully you have that down.
Yeah, I don't think that's probably one of the bigger challenges for most new midwives. Oh, I do have one more.
Okay.
Have boundaries even though you don't need them yet. So when you have one client or two clients, it's very tempting.
Yeah.
I know.
The boundaries are like such a big challenge. Yes. Glad you thought of that. Yes.
It's something I say in my classes sometimes, but I didn't think about it till just now. It's very tempting when you only have 1 or 2 clients to be completely and totally available all the time. And that is really impossible when you have more clients. And it also doesn't set up a good work-life balance for yourself. So make sure that you have times that you answer non-urgent calls, have a different route of communication for emergent versus non-emergent topics. It's great to have people texting your cell phone, but just realize that there's a point when you're not going to want to do that at 11:30 at night on a Sunday.
Right.
And so you should probably start thinking about what you want that to look like early on and develop good habits around that. Because the other thing is that when you're super accommodating with your first clients they're going to be your very favorites. Like they're going to be so special in your mind that because they trusted you first. They're going to have other babies.
Yes.
And 10 years later, you can't retrain them.
No.
That sounds really bad, but you can't always change you can't change the dynamics of your communication.
Yeah.
So it's a really good idea to just start off the bat with some really good, think about your work-life balance.
Yeah. And it can kind of really color your whole attitude about working as a midwife if you don't have boundaries, because it makes you resentful that you can't do something without being interrupted constantly.
And burnout in 5 to 10 years is very common. I mean, most midwives do not practice longer than 10 years. So, so set yourself up for long-term success. You spent a lot of time. You probably spent more time than that getting into practice. So give yourself, the ability to have some longevity in your practice.
Yes.
And we love those clients so much. Like it's so easy to, it's so
easy
to be accommodating. Yeah.
We want to help people. We want to be responsive and all of that. But you just have to put boundaries.
Yep.
You don't have to answer a call about hemorrhoids when you're at the zoo with your kids. That is not an emergency,
Correct. Correct. I like that you use hemorrhoids. I use cough drops as an example because I got a text at 2:30 in the morning if they could take a Ricola once. And I was like, that's candy. Like a Ricola cough drop is literally candy. There's no medicine in it. So yeah, go ahead. So yeah,
exactly.
It makes you cranky. I'm just going to say. Okay. Did you notice our start time?
No.
I didn't either. Well, we're going to do.
Isn't it on a timer or something?
No, I don't see it. Do you?
No.
And I forgot to pay attention. I know. Okay, we'll do one more question. I think that'll probably take us to about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I think this is a really good one because of what's going on. Again, we'll circle it back to coronavirus.
Okay.
How late in pregnancy is too late to switch care for a home birth, and are you making exceptions right
now? I don't really have a too late to switch rule, and I never have. So it's not a coronavirus thing. The key is they have to come with records in hand, and they have to have the money to pay for the services, so there's no option for a payment plan at that point. And there's not a discount either. So it's like, so records in hand, low risk, we have to quickly cycle through all of the review of all of that stuff in time before they have their baby.
So I think there's another undercurrent to this question, which is the sooner the better. The more time, we have to get to know each other, the better.
Yes.
But that being said, I never would want anybody to feel like they don't have options. However, it's now very easy to put this in the context of COVID-19. But if we could think back to pre-COVID-19, somebody wanting to transfer care really late might be confronted with limitations by their other provider that we can't necessarily offer anything different. So for example, somebody might be feeling like, I don't want to be induced at 42 weeks. And that's not going to be an appropriate transfer of care at 41 weeks for us.
No.
So those kind of things are things that we might still find that there's a practice restriction around.
Yeah, the reasons for transfer are important, and the person has to have had care. And like, so there's a lot of things that go into that decision.
Mhm.
But you know, I
Yeah.
transferred care providers at 36 weeks with my first baby. I mean, I definitely feel it's really important to
Mhm.
have the freedom to move if you are not
Yeah,
happy with where you're at.
I agree. And I transferred to home birth at about 30 weeks. So somewhere
Yeah.
between 28 and 30
Hmm.
weeks.
Hmm.
So I agree. Like it's definitely something that's, I think, so important to have, but
Hmm.
there's
But
a
there
lot to
are
consider.
limitations, and
Yes.
yeah, lots to consider.
But it's not about the time. It's about the whole context
Hmm.
of what's going
Hmm.
on in that
Yeah.
situation. For coronavirus, as you guys probably heard in the last week's podcast, that we took somebody the week before they were due, and she delivered her baby within 5 days of that.
Yes.
So we have certainly done a quick turnaround time lately. But again, it was somebody who came really ready to go and with a lot of information,
Yeah.
and also just a lot of confidence in her ability to have birth outside of a hospital context or setting. One thing I kind of do want to say too is if it is your first baby and you transfer care late, it does increase the chances that you'll transfer in labor. There's just a
Yeah.
lot of psychological stuff going on there.
Hmm.
And so I think I try to have that conversation with people that it does, it's no guarantee that you're going to actually birth at home,
Yeah.
or that we're not going to have to go to the hospital for another reason, and B, it actually kind of increases the chance because you're a little more unsettled. I don't think that holds as true when it's not your first baby. I think that's mostly a thing I've seen
Hmm.
with the first late to care with your first baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just, full disclosure so
Right.
that you can make an informed choice.
Hmm.
So,
Definitely.
all right. Well, I think I think it's been about a half an hour.
I have no idea. I know that my shopper for Instacart has been texting me the whole time that we've been talking.
Oh,
I hope there wasn't like a really big problem.
important thing.
Yes. Yes.
We did Instacart on our trip, and it was an interesting experience. We did it because we didn't rent a car, which I kind of wish well, I don't know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But we did use it for the first time, and it was kind of nice, but it was also kind of unreliable.
You
And
never know what you're going to get
yeah.
exactly.
And then I found
And yeah.
myself like texting the shopper. I'm like, oh, I forgot something. Can you add something? And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was kind of a pain.
Yes.
She was very accommodating. But
Good. Good. Good.
yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, I think we're going to talk about Group B strep if we stick to our schedule, which is
Yep.
very loose at this time. So
Yes.
sooner or later, we'll talk about Group B strep, probably next week.
Yes, that was a question that somebody sent in if we wanted to just
It
do it
was
as
a
its own
question
topic.
that was so good that it needs to be a standalone. I mean,
Yep.
all these
Yep.
questions are good, but it's one that really is going to take some time
Yeah.
to answer.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Yep.
good. Yeah. So don't forget to follow us on social at Metro Midwifery, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, www.metromidwifery.com or www.modmidwives.com, just to go straight to the podcast page. And now that we're doing Zoom and recording these, we're putting these on YouTube too. So check us out on YouTube at Metro Midwifery.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.